Charlie's adventure with Harold the Talking Hedgehog in the Enchanted Forest. We publish a new bedtime read along story every night, so make sure to tap the subscribe button so you never miss any. Part 1, The Discovery. It was a glorious day in the park, and Charlie was having the time of his life on the swings. He was swinging higher and higher, feeling the wind in his hair, and the sun on his face. Suddenly, a strange noise caught his attention. It was a loud snoring sound coming from the bushes nearby. Charlie was curious, and being the brave explorer he was, he knew he had to investigate. As he got closer, he could see that there was a hedgehog snuggled up in a ball, fast asleep. Charlie tiptoed closer, trying not to wake him up, but his curiosity got the best of him. "Hello," he whispered, "is anyone there?" The hedgehog suddenly woke up with a start and rubbed his eyes. "Oh, hello there," he said. "I must have dozed off. My name is Harold. What's yours?" Charlie was taken aback. A talking hedgehog. This was definitely something he never expected to come across. "I'm Charlie," he said. "Did you just talk to me?" Harold smiled. "Yes, indeed. I am a very special hedgehog. I have the gift of speech, and I love to go on adventures. Would you like to join me?" Charlie's heart skipped a beat. An adventure with a talking hedgehog. This was the kind of thing he only ever read about in fairy tales. Without hesitation, he agreed to go with Harold. As they started to walk, Harold regaled Charlie with tales of his previous adventures. "I once went on a daring mission to save a family of mice from a group of hungry cats," said Harold. "And another time, I traveled to the top of a mountain to find a lost treasure." Charlie was amazed. He had never met anyone as brave and adventurous as Harold. Part 2, The Adventure Begins. Harold led Charlie deeper into the thicket of trees, dodging low-hanging branches and jumping over fallen logs. Charlie couldn't help but be impressed by Harold's nimble movements. It was like he had done this a million times before. As they walked, Harold continued to regale Charlie with tales of his previous adventures. "Oh, I remember one time when I helped a lost bird find its way back to its nest," he said. "It was quite the adventure, let me tell you. The bird was so grateful, it gave me a feather as a token of its thanks." Charlie's eyes widened in amazement. "Wow, that's amazing," he exclaimed. "I wish I could go on adventures like you." Harold smiled. "Well, today's your lucky day, Charlie. We're about to embark on our very own adventure." As they emerged from the thicket of trees, Charlie saw the most incredible sight. Before him lay a vast expanse of lush greenery, with towering trees and colorful wildflowers as far as the eye could see. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers and the chirping of birds. "Welcome to the Enchanted Forest," exclaimed Harold. "This is where the real adventure begins." Charlie could hardly contain his excitement as he followed Harold deeper into the forest. As they walked, they saw all sorts of magical creatures, fluttering butterflies, buzzing bees, and even a mischievous squirrel who tried to steal Harold's hat. "Watch out for those squirrels," Harold warned, shaking his head. "They're always up to no good." Charlie laughed. He had never seen a talking hedgehog so animated before. But little did he know, the real adventure was about to begin. An enchanted forest. Fairies and unicorns? This was going to be the best adventure ever. Part 3, The Challenges. As they made their way through the forest, Harold and Charlie encountered all sorts of obstacles and challenges. They had to cross a raging river by balancing on a fallen tree trunk, climb a steep hill covered in slippery moss, and navigate through a maze of thorny bushes. But their biggest challenge came when they stumbled upon a group of grumpy trolls blocking their path. The trolls were big, ugly, and smelled like old socks. They glared at Harold and Charlie with their beady eyes and growled menacingly. Harold was not one to back down from a challenge. He stood tall and puffed up his quills, ready to defend Charlie. "What do you want, trolls?" he asked, trying to sound brave. The trolls snickered. "We want your shiny baubles and trinkets," said the biggest troll, pointing to Harold's backpack. Harold knew he had to think fast. He looked around and spotted a pile of rocks nearby. He nudged Charlie and whispered, Quick, help me gather some rocks." Together, Harold and Charlie gathered a pile of rocks and aimed them at the trolls. They threw the rocks with all their might, hitting the trolls on their heads and backsides. The trolls yelped in surprise and ran away, their tails between their legs. Charlie and Harold high-fived each other, feeling victorious. "That was amazing," said Charlie. "I can't believe we just defeated those trolls." Part 4, The Magic of the Enchanted Forest. After their victory over the trolls, Harold and Charlie continued their journey through the enchanted forest. As they walked deeper into the woods, the trees grew taller and the leaves became greener. The air was thick with the sweet scent of flowers and the sound of magical creatures whispering in the breeze. Suddenly, they heard a tinkling sound. Harold perked up his ears and whispered, "Shh, do you hear that? That's the sound of fairy dust." They followed the sound until they came across a small clearing. In the center of the clearing was a group of fairies, their wings sparkling in the sunlight. They were flitting around a large tree, giggling and chattering in their tinkling voices. Harold and Charlie approached the fairies cautiously, not wanting to scare them away. The fairies noticed them and greeted them with a friendly wave. "Hello, travelers," said the fairy queen. "What brings you to our enchanted forest?" Harold spoke up. "We are on a grand adventure, seeking new experiences and wonders. And we've heard that this forest is filled with magic and wonder." The fairy queen smiled. "Well, you've come to the right place. We would be delighted to show you around and introduce you to some of the magical creatures that live here." For the rest of the day, Harold and Charlie explored the enchanted forest with the fairies as their guides. They met unicorns with glittering manes, played with mischievous pixies, and danced with graceful nymphs. Part 5, The Return Home. As Harold and Charlie made their way out of the enchanted forest, the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the trees. Harold sniffed the air, taking in the sweet scent of honeysuckle and wildflowers. "You know, Charlie," said Harold, "I've been thinking. If you're going to be an adventurer like me, you're going to need some gear." "Gear?" asked Charlie, curious. "Yes," replied Harold. "Every good adventurer needs a trusty backpack to carry their essentials. And you'll need a hat, to protect you from the sun and rain. Oh, and a compass. You can't go on an adventure without a compass." Charlie nodded eagerly. He couldn't wait to start gathering his gear and planning his next adventure. As they walked, they chatted about all the amazing things they had seen and done on their adventure. Harold regaled Charlie with tales of his past exploits, and Charlie listened in awe. "You know," said Harold, "I've been to some pretty wild places in my time. I once explored a hidden cave filled with glittering jewels and rare artifacts. And another time, I traveled to the top of a giant beanstalk and fought off a giant." Charlie's eyes widened with excitement. "Wow, Harold, you really have done it all." Harold chuckled. "Oh, I'm just getting started, Charlie. There are so many more adventures to be had out there." Finally, they reached the edge of the park. Charlie felt a twinge of sadness, knowing that their adventure was coming to an end. As they said their goodbyes, Harold leaned in and whispered conspiratorially, "You know, Charlie, I have a feeling this won't be our last adventure together. What do you say we plan another one soon?" Charlie's face lit up. "Yes, please," he exclaimed. And with that, they parted ways. Charlie walked home, feeling tired but happy. He couldn't wait to tell his family and friends all about his incredible adventure with Harold the Talking Hedgehog. The end. Do you want to hear more stories? Then hit the subscribe button to follow our channel, so you never miss another daily story. And keep listening now, as more stories will play shortly.